Hello, everyone, and welcome back. There was a time when staying with parents was just normal, or let me be honest, taken for granted. But it's only later that we realize it's the one luxury in life that no amount of money can buy and that can be hard to come by. Before the year ended, mom was a bit unwell, so I went to visit my parents and stayed for a couple of days. It was the first time I gave them an agenda free, uninterrupted visit with the sole purpose of spending time with them. Usually, when I'm at home, mom does all the cooking for obvious reasons, but this time I wanted her to rest and enjoy a hot meal in bed. For breakfast today, I decided to make muthia. Winter brings within an abundance of veggies, so I thought of adding as many as I could. So I quickly grated and chopped some carrots, lauki, methi and coriander. To bind everything together, I added 2 teaspoons of suji, 2 teaspoons of besan and half a cup of whole wheat flour. Next, I mixed in white sesame seeds, 3 teaspoons of curd and 2 teaspoons of oil. For flavor, I added a paste of ginger and green chilies. Then I seasoned the mixture with salt, red chili powder and turmeric powder and gave everything a good mix. To steam the muthia, I created a steaming station by boiling some water in a vessel and covering it with a strainer. I shaped the muthia into small logs. Since I prefer them soft, I added less flour, but you can add more if you like them firmer. Before placing the muthia on the strainer, I greased it and then let them steam for about 15 minutes. While they were steaming, I prepared the tempering. Usually the tempering consists of just mustard seeds and hing, but I like to jazz it up a bit by adding chopped onions, garlics and curry leaves. After 20 to 25 minutes, I check the muthia. Once they are done, I set them aside to cool completely. Once cooled, I sliced them into smaller pieces and got ready for the tempering. For the tempering, I heated some oil and added mustard seeds, hing, sesame seeds and chopped garlic, sauteing it well. Then I added curry leaves and onions, sauteing for about 30 more seconds. I tossed in a pinch of sugar and salt, mixed it well, and added the muthia slices, making sure everything was coated well. Finally, I squeezed a bit of lemon juice to finish it off. I served the muthia hot with some green chutney and a healthy winter special breakfast was ready. Mom enjoyed it and I couldn't have been happier. Back when we were kids, Pyaz kachori and jalebi used to be my favorite Sunday breakfast. And today, I just had to relive that treat. So, Dad took me to our favorite sweet shop to pick some up. Honestly, no visit feels complete without this breakfast. And who count calories when you're at home? At least I don't. After grabbing my indulgence, we headed back home because I couldn't wait to eat it while it was still hot. The idea of piping hot, crispy jalebis paired with pyaz ki kachori topped in tangy chutneys and accompanied by soft, fluffy khaman dokla was all I needed to feel recharged, to feed not only my body but my soul. In the afternoon, I decided to make methi paratha and smoked raita and asked mom to cook the gajar methi sabzi. I did the basic prep for sabzi to make things easier for her. For the methi parathas, I finally chopped some methi leaves and combined them with 1 cup of whole wheat flour and half cup of jowar flour. Then I added 1 teaspoon of curd, cumin seeds, turmeric, red chili powder, ajwain and sauf, kneading everything together with a little water. The gajar aloo methi sabzi was almost ready and so was the dough for the parathas. For the smoked raita, I boiled some spinach and bathua leaves. If you haven't tried bathua raita yet, I highly recommend you do because it is a game changer in winter meals. I finally chopped the boiled leaves because I like a bit of texture in my raita, but you can also blend everything into a smooth paste if you prefer. To the beaten curd, I added the chopped bathua, chopped spinach, carrot, cucumber and onion mix along with roasted cumin powder, black pepper and black salt. I seasoned it with a pinch of table salt and mixed everything well. Now to smoke it, I burnt some coal on the stove. Once it was glowing, I placed it over the raita, added 3 to 4 drops of ghee and immediately covered the bowl to trap the smoke. The smoky aroma takes the raita to another level. Once the smoke settled, I removed the coal and the raita was ready. I quickly plated the meal, which had sabzi, raita, methi paratha and a fresh salad. Cooking for my family always feels good, but cooking for my parents brings a different kind of joy altogether. There is something about preparing a simple yet flavorful and seasonal meal that fills me with so much happiness. We all enjoyed it so much and couldn't have been more grateful for the moment. After lunch, Dad and I went for a bit of shopping at a nearby mart. He needed to pick some groceries and I decided to grab a few kitchen essentials for mom, which I felt were missing from the kitchen. The kids were at home with her for their afternoon nap and I was enjoying this uninterrupted shopping time with Dad. We started by picking up groceries on the ground floor and then headed to the first floor to check out the kitchen items. I wanted to give mom's kitchen a good revamp, but Dad is still strict when it comes to our spendings. But I still fought my way through the shopping and managed to sneak in a few extra items here and there. Despite the convenience of online shopping, there is something about strolling through the aisles and physically checking out the products that feel like therapy to me. The mart had some great items and it was hard to resist. I found some really good cookware for mom's kitchen at a reasonable price and picked them up, knowing she would be thrilled to have them. Once back, I opened the shopping bag and showed it to mom. Of course, being a mom, she scolded me for a few things, but at that moment, I felt this quiet joy knowing that I was adding little pieces to her kitchen, things that might make her life just a bit easier when I'm not around. There were a lot of basic things that were needed, but mom's generation has a frugal mindset which I really admire. So instead of going all out, I bought the essential kitchen tools that would bring some convenience and ease while working in the kitchen. The kids had woken up from their afternoon nap and they were happy to be pampered by their grandparents. At night, we decided to have a feast, and guess who took the charge? The special chef of our house, my dad. We wanted mom to rest, but she had some serious FOMO and insisted on joining the party. Dinner was dad's favorite bafla bati with panchmel dal and Rajasthan's special lesun chutney. I have grown up watching the men in my family cook a lot. From my Nana ji and parental uncles to my own dad and father-in-law, everyone has superpowers to cook extremely delicious meals. For me, watching them cook is as normal as watching everyone else in the kitchen. In fact, special occasion meals was always handled by them. And I won't lie, though mom might argue, but dad cooks better than her, especially when it comes to the bati. So, for the bati, he took 2 cups of whole wheat flour, added 1 cup of suji and 2 teaspoons of besan. Into the flour, he added half a cup of curd, 2 teaspoons of ghee, some crushed ajwain, cumin seeds, salt, turmeric, and a pinch of red chili powder. Before kneading the dough, warm some water and at the end, add half teaspoon of baking soda in the flour, then mix all the ingredients well. Now here is a little story about why dad cooks better bati. Being Rajasthani, dal bati is a staple for all occasions, big or small. No festivals goes by without dal bati, and also because dad loves eating it. So whenever mom is fasting, like on Karwa Chauth or similar fasting days, dad takes over the kitchen and cooks food for her. As a kid, I never paid attention, but it's only today that I realize the significance of this gesture. Once the flour is mixed well, add water gradually and knead into a stiff dough. The kids were watching TV, enjoying their holidays to the fullest, while I peeled garlic for the garlic chutney. Once the dough is kneaded, cover it and let it rest for 10 minutes before shaping the bati. In the meantime, Dad will make the chutney. For the chutney, we will take 8 to 10 pods of garlic, 1 onion, a green chili, And to add some sourness, he will add kachri. Kachri is a vegetable found in Rajasthan and you can peel and freeze it or sun dry it to use throughout the year. If you don't have kachri, you can replace it with amchur powder or add lemon juice at the end. Now add the raw ingredients to the mixing jar, which are garlic, onion, green chili, cumin seeds, turmeric, salt, red chili powder, coriander powder, and some water, and grind everything into a fine paste. For more authentic flavor, you can hand grind it using a mortar and pestle. Now it's time to cook the chutney. So into a kadai, add 2 teaspoons of oil. Once the oil heats up, add cumin seeds, hing, Kashmiri red chili powder and the ground garlic paste. Mix well. Add some water and let it cook until the oil separates. To make the bafla bati, we need to boil the bati first. So, before shaping the bati, bring a vessel of water to a full boil. Before rolling the bati balls, knead the dough once more. I did the prep for the dal by chopping some onions, garlic, green chilies and tomatoes. Keep stirring and checking the chutney in between. Once the water comes to a full boil, drop the bati into the water. Mom couldn't resist contributing to the meal and decided to make the dal. In the cooker, she added some ghee, then cumin seeds, chopped garlic, grated ginger, green chili, onions, and sauteed them for a minute. After that, she added tomatoes, salt, turmeric, red chili powder, and coriander powder, mixing everything well. She sauteed everything for 2 minutes before adding the soaked dal. Then she added double the amount of water and covered it to cook. The bati will float on top of the water when it's done, which takes around 15 minutes. Once it floats, remove the bati from the water and place it on a plate. Now we will toast the bati in the gas tandoor. If you don't have tandoor, you can also toast them in the kadai. The best part about watching Dad cook is the background commentary Mom provides. Of course, there is always a debate on who can do it better, and Mom never resists proving her expertise. I honestly don't remember spending much time with Dad when he used to cook in the kitchen. But when it came to asking for the basics of a recipe after marriage, I would always call Dad first. Because as usual, Mom gave me vague measurements, but Dad would always provide the precise procedure along with the useful tips. The bati is done, and now the essential part of any bati is to dip it in ghee. The bafla bati is ready. This hot, steamy bati, when dipped in ghee, soaks it up and becomes soft and rich on the inside. Now the only thing left is the tadka for the dal. In some ghee, we'll add hing, kasuri methi and red chili powder. Then pour it over the dal, and that's how the food is ready to serve. During my stay this time, I have left behind a big piece of my heart with them. To be honest, when I had all the time, resources, and opportunities to be with my parents, I was so caught up in the chase. Running around, trying to earn, trying to prove I existed. But in doing so, I missed being with them. I missed checking in on them, asking how their day was, and simply sitting beside them in those quiet moments. There is no finish line for validation. No final, I have made it. And now, with my own responsibilities weighing on me, I can't help but look back and wish I would have stayed just a bit longer. But I'm so grateful to have started my year with them this time, hoping to steal more of these love-filled cozy days. Wishing the same for all of you. See you all in the next vlog very soon.